بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Today's lesson is quite short بإذن in terms of my lesson. In terms of your reading, you still have to do your reading, and it is regarding the virtues of reciting the Quran and the types of the recitation of the Quran. So we're going to skip the intro as normal. You guys read it yourself and try to work it out yourself, inshallah. He starts off by mentioning the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm just going to translate it, um, give a general translation. Obviously, maybe if you want a direct, precise translation, have a look at the translation of the Quran. But those who recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and establish the prayer and spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with what He has provided for them, openly or in secret, then they do so out of hoping for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Istijara, like a business deal, which they will not be losers in. ليوفيهم أجورهم ويزيدهم من فضله. I think never perish might be a good one. And then in the next ayah, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can complete for them their reward and increase them in virtues, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can complete their rewards. إنه غفور شكور. So it's a nice ayah to open up with. And then he says, tilawatu kitabillahi ala nu'ain. The recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are two types. Tilawatun hukmiyah, so a ruling based recitation. However, you can also translate it as practical, a practical recitation, because as it's going to come with the definition, it can also be understood as practical. And here Shaykh explains, he goes, وَهِيَ تَصْدِيقُ أَخْبَارِهِ وَتَنْفِيذُ أَحْكَامِهِ بِفِعْلِ أَوَامِرِهِ وَاجْتِنَابِ نَوَاهِهِ. It's by affirming and believing in its in its narrations, i.e. what the Quran narrates in there, وَتَنْفِيذُ أَحْكَامِهِ, and abiding by its rules, بِفِعْلِ أَوَامِرِهِ, by implementing that which has been by its commandments, وَاجْتِنَابِ نَوَاهِهِ, and staying away from its prohibitions. وسيأتي الكلام عليها في مجلس آخر إن شاء الله. And I had a look on its مجلس الثاني عشر. مجلس الثاني عشر. And then النوع الثاني تلاوة لفظية. Now this is the verbal recitation. This is what the Shaykh is going to talk about. وهي قراءته, which is its recitation. وقد جاءت النصوص الكثيرة في فضلها إما في جميع القرآن وإما في سور أو آيات معينة منه ففي. And then he carries on. The Shaykh says that there's many nusus texts that show the virtue of this, either the whole Quran generally, or regarding certain surahs and certain ayat. Now the Shaykh actually mentions 10 different ahadith. So I'm not going to go through these 10 different ahadith, and you guys can read them yourself. Now the famous la khayrukum man ta'allama al-Quran wa 'allama. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8. Okay, بل هو نسية, meaning he was made to forget. Let's figure that. And then this is number 9, and then this is number 10. And number 10, this is the only one which is weak. Albani said it is weak. As for the others, it's fine. This one, Tirmidhi, Albani said it's authentic. And the rest, all of the rest before that, I believe in Bukhari and Muslim, or Bukhari or Muslim. Now, so the Shaykh after that, he says, إخواني هذه فضائل قراءة القرآن. My brothers, these are the virtues of reciting the Quran. And this is very good. I mean, generally the book itself, if you have in a state where you have to give a reminder, give a khutbah, etc. I mean, just this book itself has a number of proofs and stuff which you can use each chapter as a khutbah. And obviously if you want to add more, then you can add more as well. He says, وَهَذَا أَجْرُهُ لِمَنْ احْتَسَبَ الْأَجْرَ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَالرِّضْوَانِ. This is the reward for the one who accounts his reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and wants his pleasure. أجور كبيرة لأعمال يسيرة. Great rewards for very easy actions. فالمغبون من فرط فيه والخاسر من فاته الربح وحين لا يمكن تلافيه وتلافيه. وهذه فضائل شاملة لجميع القرآن. So the loser is the one who is not able to gain these rewards. And the Shaykh said these rewards are for the whole Quran. وقد وردت السنة بفضائل سور معينة مخصصة فمن تلك السور سورة الفاتحة. He says, and there are also fadail which have come in the Sunnah regarding certain surahs. So he mentions a few. In total, he mentions four. No, he mentions four. So he mentions Surah Al-Fatiha, and then he mentions a number of proofs for Surah Al-Fatiha, which you should read, and they're quite important. And especially these two hadith here, because the first one shows like the virtue, and the second two show that it's a pillar from the salah. And obviously with the second one as well, when you read it, inshallah, then you have the famous mas'ala of if the imam recites Surah Fatiha, does one recite Surah Fatiha behind him? This hadith is used, and the statement of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu is also used. The Shaykh doesn't go into the fiqh side of it, but it is a famous mas'ala issue. The second surah is Surah Baqarah and Ali Imran. He mentions a few narrations in regards to that. This part I found quite profound, which I've heard before, but I thought I highlight it because the Sheikh didn't really like mention it in the way I've heard it before. So some people said this hadith for someone which is a Muslim, إن البيت الذي تقرأ فيه سورة البقرة لا يدخله الشيطان, that the house in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited, the shaitan does not enter. Why is that the case? He says, وذلك لأن فيها آية الكرسي, because آية الكرسي is in there. And it's been narrated authentically in the Prophet that whoever recites آية الكرسي at night, then a protector, an angel will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protecting him, and shaitan can't come close to him until the morning. So it shows us the Ayatul Kursi is a means of protection. So Ibn Uthaymeen mentions this, that the reason this happens is because of Ayatul Kursi, because Surah Al-Baqarah has Ayatul Kursi in it. And then he mentions another hadith, the third surah, Surah Al-Ikhlas, and he mentions I'll explain this paragraph. Actually, it's quite it's important to explain. So we know Surah Ikhlas in this hadith over here, the Prophet ﷺ said that it is equivalent to a third of the Quran. But then the Shaykh, he explains, I'm just going to summarize it inshallah. The Shaykh explains that just because it is equal to a third of the Quran in virtue and rewards, then that does not mean that it can take place. That's why if you it can't take place of the other surahs in the Quran. That's why if you recite Surah Ikhlas 3 times in Salah, your salah is not accepted because you've not recited Surah Fatiha. It doesn't take the space of Surah Fatiha. Then he gives another example of this ayah, of this hadith, sorry. من قال لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك والحمد 10 مرات, whoever recites this 10 times, كان كمن أعتق 4 أنفس من ولد إسماعيل. It is as though he has freed 4 slaves. 4 slaves, okay? And the Shaykh says with that, if you have to give an expiation of freeing a slave, because in fiqh there are some expiations where the way you expiate is you have to free a slave, then you can't just read this 10 times, La ilaha illallah. So just because they have the same reward, it doesn't take the place of it. It doesn't take the place of it. Okay, and then this is now number 4. المعوذتين, يعني سورة الفلق and سورة الناس. And as for this last hadith, ما سأل سائل بمثلهما ولا استعاذ مستعيذ بمثلها. This hadith is in Nasa'i, and Albani, I think Albani said حسن صحيح in regards to this hadith. حسن صحيح. So then the Shaykh, he gives he summarizes, and he says that I'll read this page because it's quite nice. He says فاجتهدوا إخواني في كثرة قراءة القرآن المبارك لا سيما في هذا الشهر الذي أنزل فيه فإن لكثرة قراءة فيه مزية خاصة. So work hard, my brothers, in increasing in the recitation of the Quran in this the blessed of the Quran, especially in this month in which the Quran was revealed, because barely increasing or having an abundance of recitation has a special place in Ramadan. And then he mentions how Jibreel alayhi salam would come to the Prophet every year in Ramadan to revise the Quran. And in the year the Prophet passed away, i.e. the last year, it was done twice, ta'keedan wa tathbita, to more emphasis and to make it firm in the heart of the Prophet ﷺ. And then now the Shaykh gives a number of examples from the Salaf. وكان السلف الصالح رضي الله عنهم يكثرون من تلاوة القرآن في رمضان في الصلاة وغيرها. And the pious predecessors, they would increase in the recitation of the Quran in Ramadan, in Salah, and outside of Salah also. And some people ask the question that didn't the Prophet ﷺ prohibit reciting the Quran and finishing the Quran in less than 3 days? The answer is yes. However, in Ramadan, when it comes to virtuous times and virtuous places, then it is permissible to do so. So in virtuous times and virtuous places, then it is allowed to finish the Quran in less than 3. Rather, the hadith in general, on a general basis, you shouldn't be finishing the Quran less than three. But when it comes to virtuous times and virtuous places, then it is permissible. So virtuous places such as Makkah, and virtuous times such as um, virtuous times such as Ramadan. And it's narrated that Uthman radiallahu anhu would finish the whole Quran in one rak'ah, for example. And one time he was behind the maqam, يعني maqam Ibrahim, which is in Makkah. So he's in a blessed or a virtuous place. And the Shaykh here, so he gives a number of examples. I think he mentions one, two, three, four, five from the Salaf. So he mentions, firstly, Az-Zuhri. Let me just, as I'm going along, I'll just yeah. The first one is Az-Zuhri, and he says, وكان الزهري رحمه الله إذا دخل رمضان يقول إنما هو تلاوة القرآن وإطعام الطعام. He would say that the month is just the recitation of the Quran and feeding food to the poor. Imam Malik, he would leave off teaching hadith and he would just focus on the recitation of the Quran. Qatada, he would finish the Quran in every 7 nights. Okay, um, that was normally. And in Ramadan, in every 3, and in the last 10 nights, he would finish every night. Subhanallah. And you have Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, who would finish the Quran in Ramadan every 3 nights, and in the last 10, every 2 nights. Then we have Al-Aswad, who would finish the Quran every 2 nights in the whole month. Okay, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 from the Salaf that the Shaykh has mentioned. So then the Shaykh finishes off and he says that imitate and follow rahimakumullah بهؤلاء الأخيار, these chosen people, أي the Salaf, واتبعوا طريقهم تلحقوا بالبررة الأطهار. Follow their path and you will join um, the obedient and pure ones. واغتنموا ساعات الليل والنهار, and take advantage of the hours of the night and the day, which will give you closer to Al-Aziz Al-Ghaffar, because verily the lifespan goes quickly. وَالْأَوْقَاتَ تَمْضِي جَمِيعًا, and all the time goes. وَكَأَنَّهَا سَاعَةٌ مِّن نَهَارٍ, so the time will go and your life will be over as well as like 1 hour of the day. And then the Shaykh finishes off with dua. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the people of the Quran. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.